Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me, daughter. They whispered about her when she walked away. They said she's alone, but what they didn't know is she walks with power. She walks with purpose. She walks with presence. Because when a woman walks alone with a divine fire in her spirit, she is never really alone, and she is never weak. She doesn't beg for validation, doesn't cry for company, doesn't kneel for the world's approval. You see, the most dangerous woman in the world is the one who knows she's being guided by something greater, something unseen, but undeniable. Her silence shakes rooms. Her calmness rattles chaos. Her focus, unbreakable. Because when you walk with the highest, you don't flinch at shadows. You don't chase people. You don't need applause. You are already equipped. This speech is for the women who are tired of depending on others to define their strength. It's for the women who've been through storms but still chose to stand. If you're that woman, or if you're becoming her, then stay locked in, because this message will not just inspire you, it will awaken something in you that the world tried to silence. True strength doesn't make noise. It doesn't need a platform, a crowd, or a spotlight. It doesn't crave attention or applause. It simply exists, unshaken, unwavering, and undeniable. A woman who walks with divine clarity doesn't move to be seen. She moves to fulfill a calling. Her power doesn't rest in how loud she can be, but in how still she remains when everything around her is crumbling. That kind of strength cannot be taught in books or acquired through imitation. It is forged in silence, in solitude, in sacred alignment with something far greater than the world's understanding. You can't measure her strength by how often she speaks, how visible she is, or how well the world receives her. Because her strength is internal, it's spiritual, it's anchored in something deeper than words. She's not seeking validation, she's rooted in revelation. Every step she takes is calculated not for popularity, but for purpose. And because of that, she doesn't move out of fear, she moves with faith. Her silence doesn't mean she's scared or unaware. It means she's observing, listening, discerning. The quiet ones are often the most powerful because they've mastered the art of restraint. They've trained their emotions. They've tamed their need to react. This woman doesn't broadcast her struggles. She battles in silence and wins in private. While others rant to the world, she retreats into her spiritual sanctuary. That's where she recharges. That's where she hears divine direction. That's where she's reminded that her strength was never about how loud she could cry out, but how firm she could stand when her knees wanted to buckle. Her strength is not performance, it's discipline. It's found in the moments no one sees. When she's fighting back tears but still showing up. When she's misunderstood but still chooses grace. When she's tired but keeps pressing forward. Strength like hers isn't about being aggressive or dominant. It's about being grounded. It's about being unmoved by storms, unbothered by opinions, and unshaken by losses. It's quiet resilience. It's hidden fire. It's the kind of strength that terrifies the enemy because it can't be manipulated. She's not easily swayed. She doesn't jump at every offer. She waits. She listens. She moves only when she's led, not when she's pressured. Her strength is her ability to remain calm in chaos. It's the peace she carries when everything else is falling apart. People may underestimate her because she doesn't speak much, They may assume she's weak because she's gentle, but they're mistaken. Her strength isn't soft, it's silent, and there's a difference. One is performative, the other is authentic. The world teaches women to prove their worth loudly, but she's learned a higher truth. Her worth is not up for debate. She doesn't need to prove herself. She just lives in alignment with what's already been placed inside her. That quiet certainty is what makes her unstoppable. She has nothing to prove because she already knows who she is. That's a different kind of power. She's not competing. She's not comparing. She's focused. She's planted. She's building something eternal, not temporary. And that foundation is why she can endure the silence, the waiting, the isolation, because she understands that strength is not developed in comfort, it's revealed in fire. Every moment of pain, every hour of solitude, every time she was overlooked, it all shaped her. It refined her. And now she walks with an authority that doesn't need a title or a crowd. She simply is. When she enters a room, she doesn't need to announce herself. The energy shifts, not because of what she says, but because of what she carries. Her strength speaks for itself. It radiates from her posture, her peace, her presence. It's in her eyes, in her calm, in the way she chooses her words carefully or not at all. She doesn't waste energy on nonsense. She doesn't argue to be heard. Her silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. She's learned that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every attack deserves a response. Her strength is selective, and that makes it sacred. She may be overlooked by those who only value volume, but the ones with vision see her clearly. They recognize the depth, the grace, the weight of her spirit. She carries storms she never talks about, yet she still smiles with dignity. That's strength. She's not perfect, but she's powerful. And her power comes from knowing she doesn't have to be everything to everyone. She just has to be faithful to the journey she's on. She doesn't shout about her purpose. She walks in it. She doesn't brag about her growth. She becomes it. And she doesn't explain her silence, because those who are meant to understand her will feel it, not hear it. This is the kind of woman the world doesn't always see coming. She's underestimated until she's undeniable. And by the time they realize the weight of her presence, she's already elevated beyond their expectations. True strength doesn't make noise. It moves mountains in silence. It holds its ground without resistance. It heals without announcements. And the woman who walks with this kind of strength, she's not just surviving, she's setting a standard. She's proof that quiet power is still power. That you don't need to raise your voice to raise your life. That you don't need noise to make an impact. You just need to know who you are and walk in that truth, no matter who sees you or doesn't. And that, right there, is where her strength lives. Not in how loud she speaks, but in how deeply she knows. Walking alone is not a sign of weakness. It's the mark of someone chosen, someone set apart for something greater. The path of solitude is not empty, it's sacred. It's not lonely, it's intentional. When a woman chooses to walk alone, not because she has no other option, but because she's answering a higher call, that decision shifts her entire destiny. She isn't following the crowd, she's following purpose. She's not interested in noise, she's focused on direction. And in that quiet journey away from the noise and distractions of the world, she finds herself becoming someone unstoppable. She's not walking alone because she's broken or abandoned. She's walking alone because she's being elevated. When you're chosen for something higher, your circle gets smaller. Your days get quieter. Your nights feel longer, but your spirit, it gets stronger. In the silence, you learn to listen. In the absence of company, you learn to rely on clarity. And in the isolation, you stop needing permission to grow. That's the kind of solitude that doesn't weaken, it awakens. That's where her roots grow deeper than the surface. There is a sacred refining in walking alone. She's not being punished, she's being prepared. Every step she takes by herself sharpens her discernment, strengthens her backbone, and expands her spirit. She's learning to move not based on what others say, but based on what her spirit confirms. The more she walks alone, the more she realizes she doesn't need the world's validation. She only needs the inner knowing that she's on the right path. And when you reach that level of peace, you become dangerous to anything built on fear, manipulation, or distraction. She has let go of the need to be surrounded. She has outgrown the need to belong to crowds that never saw her value. When she walks alone, she walks in alignment with something greater than herself. That alignment brings favor that no one can explain. That favor opens doors that were locked to others. That favor protects her from traps she didn't even see. And all of it began because she had the courage to walk the road that few dare to take. The road of divine solitude. The world celebrates loud movements and crowded rooms, but she has found strength in the quiet. She has discovered the richness of stillness. She doesn't need constant connection to feel alive. Her spirit is already connected to something deeper, something that keeps her centered, even when the rest of the world is spinning out of control. Her footsteps are ordered, even when she walks through valleys. Her journey may look slow to others, but every step is calculated, protected, and destined. And the longer she walks alone, the clearer her vision becomes. She starts to see people for who they truly are. She recognizes the difference between those who cheer for her publicly and those who would betray her privately. She becomes more protective of her energy. She no longer entertains distractions. She no longer accepts half-hearted love or temporary company. She values peace over popularity, purpose over pleasure, destiny over convenience. And because of that, she walks with quiet fire in her soul, an unshakable confidence in her stride. There's a power in walking alone that many people will never understand. It takes courage to be misunderstood. It takes faith to be unseen. It takes strength to keep moving when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one is validating your journey. But that's what makes her different. She doesn't walk to be seen, she walks because she's called. Her walk isn't about proving a point, it's about fulfilling a promise. She's not moved by the opinions of the crowd, she's moved by the pull of purpose. And make no mistake, though she walks alone, she is never walking without power. Her spirit is surrounded, her steps are guided, her soul is covered. The strength she draws from in solitude is divine, unbreakable, and sacred. That strength can't be mimicked. It can't be bought. It can't be stolen. It is given only to those who are willing to let go of what is comfortable and step into what is necessary. So, she continues. She walks with her head high, her shoulders back, and her eyes locked on the unseen. She walks through disappointment and keeps her faith. She walks through betrayal and keeps her peace. She walks through uncertainty and keeps her confidence because she knows that everything she's going for, this woman has decided that she would rather walk alone in truth than stay surrounded in lies. She would rather be isolated with integrity than be included in compromise. She doesn't mind the silence anymore. It's in that silence that she finds her strength. She doesn't need the noise to feel important. Her worth is not based on attention. It's anchored in awareness. And in that awareness, she is unmoved. She is rising step by step, higher than before. Her walk may look quiet, but it is a declaration of power. Her isolation is not her end, it's her elevation. She's not being punished. She's being prepared, not forgotten, just hidden for a season. Because when she finally arrives at her destination, it won't be because she chased it down. It'll be because she walked in alignment, alone, but never defeated. And when she gets there, she'll know that every silent step, every lonely night, every tear shed in private, it was all worth it. Because this walk, this journey of walking alone with divine purpose, made her everything the world tried to convince her she could never be. She knows exactly where her help comes from. That's why she's not shaken by chaos. She's not overwhelmed by the unknown. Her calm in the middle of the storm is not confusion, it's confidence. Not in herself, but in the power that guides her, holds her, and walks ahead of her. She's learned through every trial, every heartbreak, and every disappointment that she's never been alone. Not even once. And when you know that, when you truly live in that knowing, you stop panicking over what's out of your control. She doesn't crumble when plans fall apart because she understands that her security was never in the plan, it was in the one who gave her the vision. The moment something doesn't go her way, she doesn't spiral, she adjusts, she pivots, she listens, she waits. There's a quiet strength in her because she trusts in a foundation that can't be moved by circumstance. While others are desperately clinging to people for reassurance, she leans into something unseen but undeniably real. And that faith gives her a stability most people can't comprehend. It's not that she hasn't been through pain. She has. But pain didn't break her. It built her. And more than that, it taught her where her true help comes from. Every time she was left alone, she discovered a deeper strength. Every time she was overlooked, she found out who truly sees her. She's walked through fires that should have destroyed her. But each time she came out stronger, not because of luck, but because of grace, because she was never walking alone in the first place. Her help doesn't wear a face. It doesn't have a name that anyone can tag or celebrate. Her help is not tied to a bank account, a connection, or a position. It comes from a source beyond human hands. That's why she doesn't beg for favors. She doesn't compromise her values to gain support. She knows that what is meant for her will not require her to lower herself to get it. And that knowing allows her to move with clarity, not confusion, with confidence, not desperation. Even in silence, she's guided. Even in suffering, she's covered. And in moments when everything feels like it's falling apart, she remembers every time she thought she wouldn't make it, but did. She holds on to every miracle that came out of nowhere. She remembers the strength she had on days when she should have broken down but stood up instead. That's not luck. That's help. That's alignment. That's divine presence walking beside her in places that seem too dark to escape from. Her help doesn't arrive with a loud announcement. It shows up in peace that makes no sense, in clarity that cuts through chaos, in strength that rises up when she has no idea where it came from. Is in the right word at the right time, in the moment of rest she didn't know she needed, in the closed door that felt like rejection but was actually redirection. And it's because of that help that she has learned not to panic when the road gets uncertain. She doesn't crumble under pressure because she understands that pressure produces diamonds. She doesn't collapse in isolation because she knows solitude is sacred space. She doesn't run from battles anymore. She faces them, knowing that help is already standing behind her, making sure she doesn't fall too far, that she doesn't carry what she can't handle. And this knowing is what sets her apart. It's what gives her the courage to keep moving when others would give up. She has learned to pray more than she panics, to breathe instead of break, to stand still and watch how everything begins to work in her favor, even when nothing makes sense at first. Her life is not driven by how she feels, because feelings are temporary. Her life is led by what she knows deep in her spirit. She is not alone, and she never has been. That's why she doesn't envy anyone else's journey. She doesn't need what others have. She doesn't have to compete or copy because she understands her lane. She understands that her help is tailor-made for her. What works for others may not work for her, and that's okay. She's not running a race for the world's approval. She's walking a path that was designed just for her, with the assurance that she'll always have what she needs when she needs it, not always early, but never late. She doesn't rely on people who constantly shift. She's seen what happens when you put your faith in the unstable. That's why she stopped chasing temporary support and started standing in permanent strength. Her help is consistent. It doesn't flinch when she fails. It doesn't disappear when the road gets hard. It stays. It lifts. It carries. And that's why she's unshakable. People wonder how she's still standing. They look at her and try to figure out what keeps her glowing, what keeps her anchored. But they can't see it. They don't understand it because it's not physical. It's not external. It's internal, spiritual, untouchable. And that's what makes her different. Her help doesn't come and go. It's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So even when everything looks like it's falling apart, she walks forward because she knows her help isn't coming. It's already there. It's always been there. And that knowledge is what gives her the strength to keep going, that quiet confidence, that deep-rooted assurance, that calm in the chaos. That's what makes her unbreakable, because a woman who knows where her help comes from is a woman who cannot be defeated. She doesn't chase, she attracts. That's the power of alignment. That's the quiet confidence of a woman who knows who she is, where she's going, and what she deserves. She's done chasing after people who don't see her worth. She's done running after opportunities that weren't built with her in mind. She's done trying to fit in rooms that were never designed for her elevation. She's not chasing anyone or anything anymore because she understands that when she stays true to her purpose, what's meant for her will recognize her energy and come her way. There's a shift that happens when a woman stops begging and starts building. When she no longer looks for validation outside herself, but becomes so grounded in her truth that everything that aligns with her begins to find her. She becomes magnetic, not because she's trying to be noticed, but because she's focused. Her focus is her glow. Her discipline is her fragrance. Her peace is her loudest message. And the world takes notice, not because she's trying to impress, but because her energy speaks before she even opens her mouth. She doesn't chase love because she knows real love sees her without her needing to scream for it. She doesn't chase friendships because real connections don't need convincing. She doesn't chase success because she understands that when she shows up in excellence, opportunity has no choice but to respond. Everything she needs is already aligning behind the scenes, not through force, but through flow. Because when a woman aligns with her purpose, the universe adjusts. The right doors begin to open, the right people start appearing. The things she once thought she had to fight for start chasing her. Her worth is not on sale. Her energy is not up for grabs. Her time is not to be wasted. And when she got clear on that, she became dangerous. She doesn't waste her energy on temporary attention or surface level connections. She's interested in depth, in meaning, in substance. And that's why everything shallow begins to fall away from her life. The more she honors herself, the more the world mirrors that back to her. People can feel when a woman values herself. They sense her boundaries, they respect her presence, because she commands it not with noise, but with energy. She attracts, not by pretending to be more, but by being real. She's not performing. She's not exhausting herself trying to be liked. She's just becoming. And that becoming draws in everything that resonates with her higher self. That's the kind of attraction that can't be manipulated. It's not about aesthetics, it's about essence. It's not about popularity, it's about presence. And the more she aligns, the more she shines. She doesn't have to chase things, she becomes the thing worth being chased. She understands that anything she has to beg for is too expensive for her soul. Any person she has to convince to stay was never meant to walk with her. And any dream that demands her peace isn't aligned with her destiny. So she stops chasing, she stops shrinking, she stops doubting, and in that stillness she becomes unstoppable. Her clarity makes room for miracles. Her self-respect opens new paths. Her focus creates momentum that noise never could. Attracting isn't about doing more, it's about being more aligned. She doesn't stretch herself thin trying to be everywhere and everything. She understands that stillness can be louder than movement, that presence can be more powerful than performance, that silence can be more impactful than shouting. And in this sacred balance, she becomes magnetic. She starts seeing doors open that she didn't knock on. She starts receiving what she didn't have to chase down. Because when you walk in divine rhythm, your blessings don't pass you by, they wait for you to arrive. She no longer reacts to every distraction. She doesn't respond to every invitation. Her time is guarded, her energy is sacred, and her vision is too clear to entertain confusion. That's what makes her rare. That's what sets her apart. She's not in a race, she's in alignment. And because she's not rushing, she's able to receive with both hands open and her soul at peace. She has become the woman who walks into a room and shifts the energy without saying a word, because what she carries is rare, it's divine, it's earned through solitude, through growth, through discipline. And that energy doesn't beg, it beckons. It doesn't pursue, it draws. It doesn't